Most people give that freedom away without realizing it. Someone says one sentence and their entire mood changes. Someone behaves badly, and they carry that person's behavior with them for the rest of the day. They replay the conversation in their mind. They imagine what they should have said. They become angry at something that has already happened. One of the most important things you can understand about emotional strength is this: you cannot control other people, but you can control your reaction to them. People will behave according to their own nature, their own emotions, their own insecurities, and their own understanding of the world. Some will respect you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will criticize you without knowing your story. Some will deliberately try to provoke you just to see how you respond. If you make their behavior responsible for your emotional state, you give them control over something that belongs to you. Imagine someone says something disrespectful to you. The words leave their mouth, but what happens next depends on you. You can immediately become angry, raise your voice, insult them back, and allow the situation to control your entire day, or you can pause and recognize what is happening. You can tell yourself, this person has chosen their behavior. I will choose mine. That small pause is powerful. Most people react before they think. Their emotions rise, their body becomes tense, their breathing changes, and suddenly they are saying things they later regret. The problem is not always the emotion itself. Anger is a natural human emotion. The problem is allowing the emotion to make decisions for you. When anger appears, do not immediately fight it. Observe it. Notice your breathing. Notice the tension in your body. Notice the thoughts running through your mind. Give yourself enough space to decide what deserves a response and what does not. You do not become strong by never feeling anger. You become strong by refusing to become a prisoner of it. Someone may try to insult you because they want a reaction. Someone may criticize you because they want attention. Someone may provoke you because they want to feel powerful. If you react exactly as they expect, they have successfully entered your mind and changed your state. But if you remain calm, you change the entire dynamic. This does not mean accepting disrespect or allowing people to cross your boundaries. You can speak firmly without becoming aggressive. You can say no without hatred. You can leave a situation without needing revenge. You can defend yourself without losing control of yourself. Real control is not about controlling the outside world. It is about developing enough awareness that the outside world does not automatically control your inner world. The next time someone tries to make you angry, do not immediately ask, how can I respond to them? Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? That question brings your attention back to yourself. It reminds you that your character is more important than winning an argument, proving a point, or satisfying a temporary emotion. Every difficult interaction becomes an opportunity to practice patience, awareness, and self-control. When you stop reacting automatically, you begin creating space between the event and your response. In that space, you gain the ability to choose your words, your actions, your silence, and your direction. You no longer become a reflection of someone else's behavior. You become responsible for your own state, your own choices, and your own peace. One of the biggest reasons people become angry, frustrated, or emotionally exhausted is because they take everything personally. Someone makes a comment, ignores them, criticizes them, disagrees with them, or behaves differently than expected, and immediately they think, they are doing this to me. But not everything people do is about you. In many situations, people are simply acting from their own emotions, beliefs, insecurities, habits, and experiences. When you understand this, you begin to create distance between yourself and other people's behavior. Think about someone who is constantly negative. They criticize everyone. They complain about everything. They find problems wherever they go. If that person criticizes you, why should you automatically believe that their opinion defines your value. Their behavior may reveal more about their inner state than it reveals about you. People carry invisible struggles. Someone may be frustrated with their own life and take that frustration out on another person. Someone may be insecure and try to make others feel small. Someone may be unhappy and become uncomfortable when they see another person succeeding. Someone may simply have a different way of communicating. Understanding this does not mean you should tolerate disrespect. It means you stop allowing every person's behavior to become a personal attack against your identity. You must learn to separate feedback from insult and reality from interpretation. If someone gives you useful criticism, listen. There may be something you can improve. If someone insults you simply to hurt you, you do not need to carry their words around all day. Take what is useful and leave what is unnecessary. Your mind becomes heavy when you try to interpret every word, every facial expression, every message, and every action of other people. You begin asking yourself why they did not reply, why they looked at you that way, why they said that sentence, or what they might be thinking about you. This creates suffering that may not even be based on reality. You cannot read every person's mind, and you do not need to. Instead of constantly asking, what do they think about me? Ask, what do I think about myself? That is where your attention belongs. When your sense of worth depends on other people's approval, you become emotionally dependent on their behavior. Praise makes you feel powerful. Criticism destroys your mood. Acceptance makes you confident. And rejection makes you question yourself. But when your sense of worth comes from within, external opinions become information rather than commands. Someone can dislike you without making you unworthy. Someone can misunderstand you without making you guilty. Someone can criticize you without making you a failure. Someone can reject you without determining your future. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to defend yourself against every misunderstanding. Sometimes people will believe whatever they want to believe, and trying to change their mind will only consume your energy. Let people have their opinions. Your responsibility is to live according to your values, improve where improvement is necessary, and remain honest with yourself. The less personally you take other people's behavior, the less emotional power you give them. Their words may reach your ears, but they do not have to reach your identity. Their opinions may exist, but they do not have to become your reality. You begin to understand that peace does not come from making everyone treat you perfectly. Peace comes from knowing that even when people behave imperfectly, you do not have to lose yourself in their behavior. You can listen without absorbing. You can observe without judging. You can disagree without becoming angry. You can walk away without resentment. And you can continue building yourself without needing everyone around you to understand why. Silence is one of the strongest responses you can develop when dealing with people who want to provoke, criticize, or disturb you. Many people believe they must answer every comment, defend every decision, and respond to every insult. They feel that staying silent means losing. But silence can be a sign that you have enough control over yourself to refuse unnecessary conflict. When someone says something designed to make you angry, your first instinct may be to respond immediately. You want to explain yourself. You want to prove that they are wrong. You want them to understand your side. But reacting too quickly often gives the other person exactly what they wanted, your attention and your emotional energy. Before you speak, pause. Ask yourself whether your response will improve the situation or simply create another argument. Ask whether this conversation actually matters. Ask whether you will still care about this moment tomorrow, next week, or next year. Many arguments disappear when one person refuses to continue feeding them. Silence does not mean you are afraid. It means you are selective. You understand that your words have value, and you do not waste them on every person who tries to pull you into emotional chaos. There are people who will deliberately push your buttons. They may know exactly what to say to make you angry. They may challenge your character, question your intelligence, or bring up your past. If you react every time, they learn that they can control your emotional state with a few words. But when you remain calm, the situation changes. You are no longer dancing according to someone else's rhythm. You can hear an insult without returning one. You can receive criticism without immediately becoming defensive. You can recognize disrespect without becoming disrespectful yourself. You can walk away from a pointless conversation without needing the final word. The final word is often overrated. Sometimes people argue because they want to feel victorious, not because they want to understand you. Trying to convince them may only drain you. You do not need to prove your intelligence by winning every disagreement. You do not need to explain yourself to everyone. There is also wisdom in knowing when silence is not appropriate. Silence should not mean tolerating abuse, serious disrespect, or harmful behavior. There are moments when you must speak clearly, establish a boundary, or remove yourself from the situation. The difference is that you do it from a place of control rather than uncontrolled anger. A calm voice can be stronger than a loud one. A simple, "I will not continue this conversation," can be more powerful than 10 minutes of arguing. The more comfortable you become with silence, the less pressure you feel to react. You stop feeling responsible for correcting every person. You stop chasing validation. You stop trying to make everyone understand you. Your silence becomes intentional. You begin to recognize that attention is limited. Every argument you enter takes energy away from something else. Every unnecessary conflict occupies space in your mind. Every reaction gives a piece of your peace to someone who may not deserve it. Protect that peace. When someone tries to provoke you, take a breath and allow the moment to pass through you. Do not immediately attach a story to it. Do not replay the words repeatedly. Do not create imaginary conversations in your head where you finally win. Let the moment end. Your strength is not measured by how quickly you can respond. It is measured by how calmly you can choose whether a response is necessary at all. The world will always contain loud voices, difficult personalities, unfair opinions, and people who misunderstand you. You do not need to become louder than them. You need to become more grounded than the situation. When you master silence, you begin to realize that not every battle deserves your presence, not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every person deserves access to your emotional energy. The ability to pause before reacting is one of the simplest forms of self-control, yet it is one of the most powerful. When something unexpected happens, the mind often wants to respond immediately. Someone says something offensive, sends an angry message, criticizes you, interrupts you, or treats you unfairly, and within seconds your emotions rise. You feel the need to answer, defend yourself, or strike back. But that first impulse does not always represent your best decision. Between what happens and what you do next, there is a small moment of choice. Learn to use it. When you feel anger rising, do not immediately speak. Take one slow breath. Relax your shoulders. Notice what is happening inside your body. Your heart may be beating faster. Your muscles may become tense. Your thoughts may become aggressive. Simply observe these reactions without immediately obeying them. This pause creates distance between you and the emotion. Anger often becomes stronger when you give it immediate attention. One thought leads to another. Someone says something small, and suddenly your mind starts collecting every previous mistake they have made. You remember old arguments. You imagine future conflicts. You build a story around one moment until the emotion becomes much larger than the original situation. The pause interrupts that process. Instead of asking, "How can I hurt them back?" ask, "What response will serve me best?" That question changes your direction. Maybe the correct response is to speak calmly. Maybe it is to set a boundary. Maybe it is to walk away. Maybe the situation does not deserve a response at all. You cannot always control the first emotion that appears, but you can train yourself to control what happens next. This is emotional discipline. Think about a person who constantly reacts without thinking. When they are angry, they send messages they later regret. When they are offended, they say things they cannot take back. When they feel attacked, they immediately attack someone else. Their emotions become the driver, and they become the passenger. You want to reverse that relationship. Let awareness become the driver. When someone provokes you, give yourself time. You do not have to answer immediately. A delayed response is often a wiser response. If someone sends you an angry message, you can wait before replying. If someone confronts you aggressively, you can breathe before speaking. If a conversation becomes heated, you can say, "I need a moment before we continue." That is not weakness. It is control. The goal is not to suppress your emotions until they disappear. Suppression creates pressure. Awareness allows you to understand what you are feeling without becoming controlled by it. You can feel anger and still choose calm words. You can feel disappointment and still act with dignity. You can feel hurt and still refuse revenge. You can feel provoked and still remain centered. The more you practice the pause, the stronger it becomes. At first, you may remember to pause only after you have already reacted. That is still progress. Eventually, you will notice the emotion while it is happening. Then you will catch yourself before speaking. With practice, the space between emotion and action becomes larger. That space is where your freedom grows. A calm person is not someone who never experiences difficult emotions. A calm person is someone who has trained themselves not to become a slave to those emotions. So the next time someone tries to push your buttons, do not rush. Breathe, observe, wait, then choose. Your response should come from the person you want to become, not from the emotion that temporarily entered your mind. When you master that pause, other people may still try to disturb you, but their ability to control your behavior becomes weaker because you are no longer giving your first impulse the authority to decide what happens next. Does not mean avoiding every difficult person or running away from every uncomfortable situation. It means knowing what you will allow into your life, what you will respond to, and what you will leave behind. Without boundaries, you can spend your energy trying to satisfy people who are never satisfied, explaining yourself to people who do not want to understand, and defending yourself against people who are committed to misunderstanding you. A boundary is not an attack. It is a clear decision about what you will and will not accept. When someone repeatedly disrespects you, you do not have to respond with anger. You can calmly make your position clear. You can say, "I am not comfortable with the way you are speaking to me," or "I will continue this conversation when we can speak respectfully." You do not need to shout. You do not need to insult them. You do not need to prove that you are stronger. Your calmness can communicate more than anger ever could. Many people struggle with boundaries because they are afraid of disappointing others. They worry that saying no will make someone angry. They worry that walking away will make them look weak. They worry that protecting themselves will make them seem selfish. But constantly abandoning yourself to keep other people comfortable is not peace. It is exhaustion. You are allowed to say no without giving a long explanation. You are allowed to leave conversations that become disrespectful. You are allowed to distance yourself from people who repeatedly create chaos in your life. You are allowed to protect your time, your attention, and your emotional energy. The important part is how you do it. Do not create boundaries from revenge. Create them from self-respect. Revenge says, "I want you to suffer because you hurt me." A boundary says, "I will not participate in behavior that destroys my peace." That difference changes everything. When someone provokes you, you do not have to fight them. Sometimes the most powerful action is to remove your attention. If the conversation is going nowhere, end it. If someone keeps insulting you, create distance. If a situation constantly produces unnecessary conflict, stop giving it unlimited access to your mind. You cannot control whether someone respects your boundary. You can only control whether you enforce it. This is where discipline becomes important. A boundary that you never enforce is only a request. If you repeatedly tell someone that certain behavior is unacceptable, but continue allowing the same behavior without consequences, you teach them that your words have no weight. Be clear. Be consistent. Be calm. You do not need to become cold to become strong. You can remain compassionate while protecting yourself. You can understand someone's struggles without allowing those struggles to become an excuse for mistreating you. There will be moments when people accuse you of changing. They may say you are distant. They may say you are no longer the same person. They may become uncomfortable because you no longer react the way you used to. Let them adjust. Your responsibility is not to remain the same version of yourself simply because someone benefited from your lack of boundaries. Peace requires decisions. Sometimes the decision is to speak. Sometimes it is to say no. Sometimes it is to walk away. Sometimes it is to stop explaining yourself. And sometimes it is simply to stop giving a person the emotional reaction they have been trying to get from you. The more you protect your peace, the more carefully you choose where your energy goes. You begin to understand that not every person deserves unlimited access to your attention. Not every argument deserves your participation, and not every conflict deserves a place in your mind. You can protect yourself without becoming bitter, establish distance without hatred, and walk away without carrying revenge in your heart. When you become deeply focused on your own growth, other people's drama begins to lose its power over you. This does not happen because the world suddenly becomes peaceful. Difficult people will still exist. Someone will still criticize you, misunderstand you, gossip about you, or try to provoke you. The difference is that your attention is no longer centered on them. It is centered on the life you are building. Many people waste enormous amounts of energy watching what other people are doing. They compare themselves, worry about opinions, follow unnecessary arguments, and become emotionally involved in situations that have nothing to do with their purpose. They know what everyone else is saying, but they have forgotten to ask themselves where they are going. Your attention is your life. Whatever receives your attention receives your energy. If you constantly focus on conflict, conflict becomes your mental environment. If you constantly focus on criticism, you become sensitive to every opinion. If you constantly focus on what others have, you become dissatisfied with what you already possess. But when you redirect that attention toward yourself, something changes. You begin asking better questions. What can I improve today? What habit is holding me back? Where am I wasting my time? What skills should I develop? What kind of person am I becoming? These questions create movement. You stop needing every person to approve of your choices because you become more interested in whether those choices are aligned with your values. You stop chasing every argument because your goals require your energy. You stop reacting to every distraction because you understand that your future is being built through the decisions you make today. Focus creates emotional strength. Imagine someone trying to pull you into an argument while you are deeply committed to an important goal. Their words may still be unpleasant, but they no longer seem as important. You have somewhere to go. You have something to build. You have a reason to protect your attention. This is why purpose can make you calmer. When your life lacks direction, small problems can occupy a huge amount of mental space. But when you have meaningful goals, you become more selective about what deserves your attention. This does not mean ignoring legitimate problems. It means learning the difference between a problem that requires action and a distraction that only requires a reaction. Drama survives through attention. If you stop feeding it, it becomes smaller. You do not have to respond to every message. You do not have to explain every decision. You do not have to prove that someone is wrong. You do not have to participate in conversations that leave you mentally exhausted. Return to yourself. Return to your work. Return to your discipline. Return to your purpose. Every time you choose your growth instead of unnecessary conflict, you strengthen your ability to remain unbothered. The goal is not to become indifferent to everyone. The goal is to become so grounded in yourself that temporary behavior does not determine your emotional state. Someone can have a bad opinion of you, and you continue working. Someone can misunderstand you, and you continue improving. Someone can criticize your journey, and you continue walking. Someone can try to distract you, and you return your attention to what matters. This is where real confidence develops. You no longer need to constantly announce your progress. You simply make progress. You no longer need to convince everyone that you are changing. Your actions demonstrate it. You no longer need to win every argument. Your life becomes the evidence. The more you invest in yourself, the less attractive unnecessary drama becomes. You begin to see how expensive emotional distractions are. They cost time, concentration, motivation, and peace. Protect those resources. Wake up with a purpose. Work on yourself. Develop your skills. Strengthen your discipline. Take care of your responsibilities. Build something meaningful. Spend time becoming someone you respect. When your attention is occupied by growth, there is less room for pointless conflict. And when someone tries to pull you back into old patterns, remember that you do not have to follow them. You can choose your direction again, return to your priorities, and keep your energy focused on the person you are becoming. Stay calm. Stay focused. Protect your peace. You cannot control everyone around you, but you can always control yourself. Let people talk, let them judge, let them misunderstand. Your job is not to react to everything. It is to become so strong within yourself that nothing outside you can steal your peace. Master your emotions, protect your energy, and keep moving forward.